So Forest Green dropped a video on fate manipulation, and notoriously people give fate manipulation a lot of shit because people don't know what it is most of the time. Um, so I've decided just to do a quick analysis on Green's video on types of fate manipulation. I guess we'll just go through the video, see if there's any mistakes, correct it if it works. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna raise the volume a little bit. I gotta move my microphone so I don't echo as much, hopefully. And we will get started. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, folks? Forest
Am I too loud?
Man,
Looks like I'm not. Okay.
Series. I think it's educational, so I'm going to keep going. This is part 5 of my types of hacks, and today I'm here to talk about fate manipulation. So what is fate manipulation? Fate manipulation is a hack that allows the user to alter one's or other people's destiny in order to help benefit their goals and desires.
Well, first, you'd have to clarify what a definition for destiny is. I even have a quick Google definition pulled up. Now I know he probably didn't really have to do this because he was talking about fate minute, but basically, the version, or at least the definition of destiny we're using here is just the events that will basically happen to a particular person or thing in the future. For example, it might be your destiny to, say, become president. It might be your destiny to, say, I don't know, become an MMA fighter. The works, right? There's a few synonymous terms you might be able to use, or just other sentences or whatever you could use as exemplifiers. But basically, that's gonna be definition of destiny we're gonna use here, just for clarification. So anyway, let's keep it going.
There's different kinds of fate manipulations, like probability, causality, changing a situation, where.
Okay, for this next part, causality and fate are two different concepts, even though they more or less follow similar rules. Causality is essentially more or less like a type of quantum theory, and fate is just more or less where you bend the future to your whims, right? Something similar to future manipulation, but it's more to do with time and space, whereas say fate is more or less a product of you being able to manipulate reality to your whims. A quick definition for fate, again, is the ability just to manipulate destiny itself, which that's what Green specifically said. Basically, it's more or less just to change the future, or at least change events that happen. A quick definition for causality we're going to use here. I know we're on VSB, but they do have decent definitions, at least for terms. More or less, in case you guys don't know, causality itself is more or less like a quantum concept where you essentially have an antecedent and then you have a consequent followed from the antecedent. Or where you basically have if A then B, or if event X, and then event Y will follow from X, right? Or where you have your cause and you have your effect, right? For example, I pulled out a gun. This gun shot a bullet. That's the cause of someone getting hurt. The effect of that cause would be someone where they get hurt by the bullet or where they're just sent to the ER, right? Basically, again, if A then B, cause, which the effect then happens because of the derivative cause, etc., etc. He should have clarified that too. Although I don't think he necessarily knows too much about quantum theory, or at least quantum mechanics. So again, a bit presuppositional for my part, but that may be why he didn't cover it. But anyway, let's continue on.
It fits you. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about those different kinds of events. So I'm going to talk about probability manipulation. The clue's in the name, but I'll give you an example of probability manipulation. So let's say, For example, rock, paper, scissors. So we all know that rock, paper, scissors is a 1 in 3 chance of you winning in that situation. So let's say you had fate manipulation, you could change the situation where you increase the probability of you always getting the right symbol in the situation. So let's say your opponent would drop rock or drop paper or drop scissors in like different consecutive rounds.
Okay, so he is using the rock paper scissors analogy, which I do agree with. But to be specific here, probability is a different concept than fate. Whereas, say with fate, you're necessarily changing events in the future, or at least changing what happens in reality to like bend whims to what future you want. Probability is where you mess with ratios, like say you have a 1 in 5 chance of like say getting a 6, right? Or say you maybe have a 1 out of 6 chance of getting this particular side on this particular dice, right? Whenever you change probability, you either change the ratio, you change their percentage / likelihood, right? Basically, I could change. Actually, a good example would be what Gordon O'Keefe uses whenever he debates people, like whenever he uses Dean, right? Probability minip. So probability minip is basically where you change the percentage of something happening to either being likely or unlikely. Like, for example, when I open a door, it's a 50-50 chance of me seeing a guy wearing a red shirt, okay? If I were to change probability, I could make my odds less than 50% of seeing someone wear that red shirt, or make it above 50% to where I have a higher chance of seeing someone wear a red shirt. Probability and ratios, those are products in mathematics. I'd say probability goes down like the line of causality rather than fate. Even though, again, all three of these hacks kind of follow similar rules, they are different in application, though. So,
because of you increasing your probability, you're always going to guess right every time they do rock, paper, scissors with you. So that is an example of probability manipulation. There's other examples like increasing your chances of winning the lottery, increases your chances of a certain situation happening. This kind of rolls into like luck hacks, but I won't talk too much about luck hacks. That's something completely on its own accord. But probability,
luck follows the same line as probability. If anything, luck is more or less like, oh hey, I have a higher probability of doing this or that. So it's more like, I do agree with you when I say probability is different from fate. But you probably should have clarified, like, what terms you're using and how you're applying the terms as the hacks. So, I mean, I know you're doing this more or less for normies. And, like, I know normies like you serious because you're more or less keeping your channel as more as, like, a general educational channel for, like, newcomers, right? So, no real problems there, but you probably should have clarified that in the beginning.
Does take elements of fate manipulation. But yeah, that's just an example of of fate manipulation.
Okay, right there. That's what he made the. Okay, he did make the distinction between probability and fate again. So like, I don't think I really had to cover probability and fate because I've already rambled too much about it. So we'll just let the video play for a second, see if I have to correct anything.
Another type of it as well, which is like causality manipulation, being able to change events, change the cause and effect of something, direct, or just, completely just, alter it to your liking. I'll give you an example of causality manip. So let's say a person comes up to me and punches Forest Green in his face.
You have to get the definition of causality first, before you can, get into the necessary terms. I know I've already said it a couple times, and it might be a bit pedantic, but you're gonna have to, give definitions for terms you're using. Like let's say, I talk about a certain term, and then, you have, a highlight symbol, and then, there's a definition on the screen for about a couple seconds or a few seconds or whatever. Then maybe you have like an image of some analogy you're trying to make. That would be a lot easier for people to understand and digest, because looking at like one screen and then like just like seeing the same thing kind of makes it boring, and then sometimes people will just tune out. Like, it's boring to look at. You might just use that as background noise when like maybe working or something, for all I know, right? So you like probably should like put a few things on the screen, like, I don't know, maybe some text, like some clarifiers. Not gonna say like the way I do, because that might sound like a dick move, but probably something similar to how I would do something like that, I guess.
So, obviously, what would happen, the cause and effect of that happening would be, I'd take the blow, and let's say like he punches my tooth out. That's what happens when he punches me in the face. But because of my fate manipulation hacks, I am able to alter what the effect of the punch does. So let's say he socks me right in the face. Because of my fate manipulation, I'm using my fate manipulative abilities. Instead of me taking damage and my tooth getting knocked out my mouth, this guy's whole body turns to jelly. So that is just an example of like causality manipulation. I'm literally altering and redirecting the cause and effect of some.
Okay, so it's good that actually let's continue this for a second before I speak, because that's something that might take a minute to say.
To my own desire, like causality manipulation, I'm literally altering and redirecting the cause and effect of something to my own desire. Or, I'll give you another example. Let's say, I clap my hands. I change the effect of me clapping my hands. Me simply clapping my hands is causing freaking buildings to blow up. So that is just an example of like me altering the fate of cause and effect. And that is just an example of like how fate manipulation could roll into it.
Okay, so that is a bit of a weirder analogy to use. Again, I would probably just make the distinction between causality and fate. As for how you applied the fate to the causality, I don't think there's any real problem there. It's just mainly people give it shit, which is like the main reason why I'm doing the video. Because, again, people notoriously like give fate manipulation a lot of shit, or like wink it, or like lowball it. The works. Anyway, so let's go back and check the definition that a VSB uses. Can redirect any cause to any effect. What you probably shouldn't said is, instead of changing the effect, or just like altering the action, what you probably should have said is like, where you like redirect like the causal action, so that the consequent of like the cause would have a different result, That's how I would have went about it, but no real problem there. Just again clarify a little better.
Now, I'm going to talk about how fate manipulation is kind of used in like versus debates and battles.
Okay, so before anyone gets triggered when he's about to speak, we are going to keep it going for like a good couple minutes to see how he like applies it, and see if there's anything we might have to correct. So let's keep it going, so like see if he applies it right.
So characters usually try to change the fate of someone, whether it be through manipulating their fate, manipulating a fight or a scenario to make it basically to edge out in their benefit. So let's say I was going to fight this dude down the street, and let's say if I didn't use fate manipulation, this guy was going to body the fuck out of me, so just stomp the shit out of me. And let's say I use fate manipulation, I'm going to change the event, and I'm going to change the fate of this guy. I'm going to make sure this guy is guaranteed to lose to me. I'm going to bend fate to my liking, to my will, to my...
Hold on, let's go back a few seconds.
And the fate of this guy I'm gonna make sure this guy is guaranteed to lose to me. I'm gonna
Let's keep it going for a couple seconds.
bend fate to my liking, to my will, to my benefit, and I want to beat this guy. So I'm gonna make fate. I'm gonna change the fate so that I body this dude.
Okay. I thought I was gonna have to like call out like probability pedantic, but okay, we're fine.
That is just an example of how fate manipulation is used in combat. There's also people who can see people's future by knowing how their fate, by seeing their fate happen before them or before it actually goes to happen. But that is just, a number of ways fate manipulation can be used. Also, that is kind of a form of precog as well, so it's a bit of a mixture if you wanna argue.
Not inherently precognition. What tells you what's gonna happen in the future generally. There are different types of precog, and while I do agree that it's more or less a quote unquote type of precog, it's not really a type of precog as much as it just tells you, like, okay, I bent fate into my whims. Here's what's gonna happen. A general definition of precognition is that like you either get visions of the future in some way, shape, or form. Like, for example, Unicron sees all timelines. Maybe this other character, like say Silver Surfer with his precog, might be able to see the past, present, and future. Maybe some other character might be able to see, 10 minutes into the future or 8 seconds into the future, or might see the steps you take in the future, like, say, Sharingan might give from Naruto. The works.
But yes, that's pretty much it for fate manipulation. Oh yeah, precognition is... Oof, I kind of spoiled it, but who cares? Precognition is the next video. But yeah, let's continue. Alright, so pros and cons. So pros, there's a lot of good pros with fate manipulation. Just bending things to your whim to make sure you are guaranteed the successful winner. That is also a big fat pro. Altering people's destiny so that you come out on top is just a massive W. Making a situation or a scenario play out the way you want it to play out. So that is also another pro. And of course, the obvious one is you can basically play God in a sense. Like I mentioned, the causality myth. You can just change the fate of and alter, the forms of cause and effect, and have it come out with whatever way you want it to. So that's pretty much it for pros. So cons. Now, cons, it doesn't work on people with acausality. I will make a video on acausality later on down the line once I've done with the rest of the other videos. So
I don't really see how it's a con. Like, that just means that, like, there's a particular limitation that it can't really breach. Because there's different types of fate manipulation and layers that could bypass acausality. You could have, like, some type of time-space manipulation to get around it. Or maybe some fate manip packs might have, like, power null for all we know. Or might just have, acausality null. Like how characters in, say, Destiny might have. I don't really see how that's much of a con, but I do agree with you there that like fate manipulation does have limitations and can leave you open if you use it on a character who's acausal, depending to the degree that you're using it to, and whoever is like acausal to like what degree. Ugh, bit of a ramble, but let's keep it going.
I won't talk too much about acausality, but I will talk about a little bit of the resistances and stuff, and why fate manip does absolutely nothing against people with acausality. Now, why fate manipulation wouldn't work on someone with acausality? Because acausality is like basically where people are immune to like changes in the past or the future in terms of their own timeline, or and examples of that. are like there's characters who don't exist in the future, who don't exist in the past. They only exist in the present, so they can basically shape their own destiny. There's characters who are completely unimmune to like changes in the future or the past. So, say for example, you went in the past or the future to kill someone, it does absolutely nothing to that person. It doesn't alter the reality of the person's present self. So that is just an example of how fake manipulation is useless against people with a causality.
Yeah, so I know I touched a little back on it before, and I know you guys want me to like, I guess, attack what he was saying about acausality, about how like it depends on like the type of acausality. But like he is trying to save that for a future video. But I do agree that you could have clarified that there are types of acausality that sometimes don't really work against fate hacks. Other than that, I don't really see any contention with what you're saying so far.
Another thing is fake manipulation. Obviously, there are levels. So like, there's people with like fodder, fake manip. So like, it may work like in certain situations, but it's not always guaranteed to work. Like probability manipulation has its limits. You know, you may not always be guaranteed to win that situation. Like, yeah, you've increased the chances of, you know, you've reduced the odds of you losing, but there are odds still there, so there's still the possibility of you losing. Another thing is there are certain realities where its destiny is completely fixed, it is uninevitable. There's characters who have fodder like freaking fake manipulation, so they are unable to change the event of a situation or like timelines or worlds or just anything. So like there are certain destinies that are just destined to happen, and there are certain characters who are unable to just alter that fate. So that is another example of a con. And another thing I want to mention as well, there's characters who can resist fake manipulation as well, who just aren't affected by their fate being manipulated. And the last thing is fake manipulation can also be dangerous, because if you use fake manipulation, it can open like just a wormhole of uncertainty and many kinds of outcomes that you could be unaware, you could be completely unaware of. So I'll give you an example. So let's say, if I didn't use my fate hacks on this dude who was gonna beat me up. Let's say he beats me up. Because I didn't use my fate hacks, I was able to live. I was fine. Like this dude, I didn't die. I just took a fat L and got beat up.
Okay, I do agree with him here when he like talks about the Pandora's box analogy. I'll finish up whenever he's done speaking, so we'll just power on through.
But let's say I use my fate hacks. I changed it so that this dude gets killed, and I beat this dude up. There is a realm of uncertainty now. So because I use my fate hacks, it has altered the destiny of the situation. So now there is a fate where I'm gonna die. So let's say the fate is I beat this dude up. The fate has been changed so that people are gonna come after me. His friends, his goons, his gang members is gonna kill me now. And because I changed that fate and I was unaware of what my fate manipulation did in order to alter the upcoming events, that is also my downfall. But yes, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's pretty much it for Fate Hacks. Horror Screen, signing out. Peace.
Okay, so I did feel like he rambled a bit too much at the end, although it might sound a bit hypocritical because I might do it from time to time out of habit, even though I don't really mean it, but still. I did feel like you rambled a bit at the end. I think you kind of got the point across whenever you gave the Pandora's box analogy. You probably could have replaced that last, I guess, minute and a half with like what like Pandora's box theory is, or if what like error theory is and whatnot. You probably could have like You probably could have talked about those concepts a little bit too. Maybe make the video like up to 12 minutes so that you could finish explaining what all that is. But I don't really have any general contentions with the video. I did feel like he covered layers a bit late, even though he probably meant to use that as like some conclusive part of the video. Again, he could have made that like a side note on the screen, or like maybe he could have left some gameplay on the works, right? So I don't really see much with the video that actually poses as an issue. Just seems like more or less trivial things, like maybe he didn't clarify enough on what like the different concepts are within like Fate Manip, or how Fate Manip is actually like a quote unquote smaller product of like causality manipulation and whatnot. Though that would be a bit more pedantic, but yeah, pretty good video. I think I've covered everything I could. So yeah, I'm gonna avoid rambling. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little analysis of Green's video. If you like what I do with my little analyses, please like, share, support, comment, and subscribe. That would be awesome. I will be doing more of these as time passes. If I see any issues with anyone, or if I see anything I might have to look at because of the concept of it being controversial, then I will. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Shout out to Forrest Green. He makes some good shit. And also, Forrest, if you're watching the video, I hope you take what I say in consideration, because not everyone's gonna get everything right. I know how you work, my guy. You're pretty cool. So yeah, go sub to Green. He makes some good shit. I'll give him a like. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, since I was rambling too much. So bye.